Okay, welcome to Gitarrpodden. My name is Fredrik Heghammar, and today we have Josh Rawlings, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, with us. How you doing, Josh?
All is good. All is good. Good morning to you.
And, good morning and good evening.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
How's your day been so far?
Everything is kicking off really well. I've been working a lot with a guitar brand out here in Nashville, so that's been consuming a good chunk of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, things are whipping along nicely. I'm enjoying work. It's the holiday season now.
Yes.
I feel like I'm living in a Norman Rockwell painting.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So we're gonna introduce you a little bit to our audience because we are kind of newly friends, but we met a couple of years ago when I was in Nashville the first time. We visited the company you work for, Glaser. And you do a lot of stuff, so we're going to cover that as well. And then we met in NAMM, and then we had the good opportunity to hang in Mannheim at the Guitar Summit. And what could be a better place to get to know each other than in a smoky, small German bar, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's wonderful to be on with you. I love how you evangelize the guitar world. And it's been so wonderful to meet you and to learn about all the stuff you've been working on. And yeah, you're right. One of the first times that we connected was at this properly smoky and nasty German bars.
It was nice. We had a nice evening.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Full on. It's full on. But you're right. To provide a little bit of background, I've been working out of Glaser Instruments for the better part of a decade. I met Joe in and around 2011, Joe Glaser, who at the time, I didn't really realize that he was on, he was on the holy mountain of great luthier, repair tech, engineer, and thinker.
Oh, yes.
And I was actually starting a media company with my little brothers. We were doing short form news media when Joe was introduced to us, and he was helpful to our company, and he provided really sound and wonderful advice. And it was a startup, and like so many startups, it eventually went kaput. But long story made quite short, during that period, he was pleased enough with the work I was doing that he brought me on to take on special projects, which, as it turns out, he's got lots of them. And so I've been managing and growing and building special projects with Joe Glaser since about 2012, 2013.
Yeah, and it's such a good collaboration you got going as well, because a lot of our listeners they are watching Tom Bukovac's YouTube show, and if you don't, you should. And he mentioned you like the super genius doing stuff there, and I've seen it myself. I mean, it's such a good collaboration, and also Joe Glaser is such a connector as well. He loves to help people, and he's a really great guy, and he's so much knowledge. But for our listeners that doesn't know about Glaser Industries or Glaser Instruments, he made himself famous, I think, for the bender, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that, the bender thing?
Yeah, so that's true. I think that there's a
for
number
this part of the world, at least, I think,
Yeah, well, there's a couple of surprising innovations that have come out of Glaser. So Joe Glaser is the owner of a guitar repair shop called Glaser Instruments, which is located in a small town inside of Nashville, Tennessee called Berry Hill.
Yeah.
Berry Hill is the studio capital of the world, we believe. There's 55 working recording studios in the neighborhood. And Joe, with an early insight, and of course his story goes further, it predates his time in Berry Hill, but to put it simply, he and our shop is positioned in the heart of music, in the heart of Music City. And so our customers are professional studio musicians and touring musicians and kind of the lifeblood of the Nashville music scene. And the B-Bender is something that he's been doing since the mid-'80s, but had a pretty massive improvement around 2017. And the B-Bender is a string-activated lever that when you pull down on the guitar, it raises the pitch of the B and or G string. Now we have a convertible version. Yeah. But you would be surprised. First person to ever do a 3-pickup Telecaster was Joe Glaser.
Yeah.
Invented the sound hole volume control for acoustic guitars. I don't know if you knew that one.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, and there's just a number of wonderful innovations, and so it's been a collaboration of a lifetime to be able to work with him and to be able to
he
push
built
projects.
guitars for really famous guitarists as well.
He did.
For ages, and what I like with Joe and what you guys are doing is that. I mean, he has so much knowledge, and you do both vintage stuff, but you're very much, innovative and do. You look at things with a modern twist to it, sort of. When for example, he used when he fixed like neck breaks, he used material that traditional luthier wouldn't do, and he also used the Plek machines. He's a part of Plek as well, right? Isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Plek is part of our technology component at the shop.
Yeah.
But all of the work that we do centers around customer service, and defining who the customer is becomes the common thread. So in guitar repair, Joe is famous for saying the string is the customer, and so we do everything to serve the string. And the Plek machine and the scanning capabilities and the cutting capabilities of Plek machine are just 100x what a human being can consistently deliver to do fret dressing and nut cutting and these sorts of activities. And so that makes for a happy customer. So the Plek relationship comes out of a realization that we can get the best possible results with these tools. And that also extends to software, hardware, collaboration, and some of the artist work that we do as well.
Yeah. So let's go into one of the software called ShopFlow, because I think that's connected to what you just talked about, making the perfect thing, being continuously doing the same thing over and over again. And you guys developed ShopFlow. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What is ShopFlow?
Well, I think your audience is going to relate to this experience, which is you're at work and you build an internal tool to make your work better. And so let's say that that's a form that your customers can interact with, or it's a formula that you use to understand your financials, or it's a simple inventory management software system or a physical system. ShopFlow was created out of necessity of our own shop. So it all started as an internal tool, something that we needed to be able to create work orders, manage the work, and then know what we've done historically, which is the most important part of all. Is knowing what you've done in the past. So we built this system. We eventually named it ShopFlow, and brought on a couple of developers. I've been intimately involved with this project since its inception, and we used it to run our shop. Now, what we realized was we were getting a whole bunch more work done. Our customers were getting their guitars back faster. And because we are a specialist-based shop especially, we have 8 different specialists in the building, and that means one repair might touch 4 or 5 different hands, and coordinating that handoff and maintaining quality. So knowing the setup, the relief, the fall away, the string spacing, all of this information is critical to have a successful business. And when a customer comes back 2 years later, you don't want to be digging through a file cabinet to try to understand what you did. So put simply, ShopFlow is production management software, repair management software that is now used by the likes of Novo Guitars, Santa Cruz Guitars, Elderly Instruments, a whole bunch of mom and pop shops, and our own shop. And because it was good enough that we could share it with other people.
Yeah, and if you're a luthier listening to this, I mean, you can just buy the software online at ShopFlow. So that's great. I'm gonna put up links and stuff like that as well, because I think it's a brilliant tool. Do you know if that came from using the Plek machine, because the Plek machine kind of saves your files and stuff like that? Was that born out of that? Keeping track on repairs and stuff, or?
Well, this gets back to Joe Glaser's insight about where the business was going, because when Plek first started, and when his relationship and our shop's relationship first started with Plek was not recording the history of the scans and activities.
Okay, it didn't. All right, okay.
It didn't. So he, and I've been a part of this effort. We pushed really hard to make Plek history more robust. So we would know the customer, we'd know the instrument, we'd know the string gauge, the tuning. And so those efforts actually happened kind of simultaneously, where we're saying, we need to know when a customer comes back what their preferences are. And now every single day we look back at Plex scans and we look back at shop flow work orders, and we're able to make better decisions on guitars because we have that data and that history. So whether you're using shop flow or anything else, I think encouraging people to make sure their notes are searchable and that their setup measurements and other measurements are searchable is really important, because you really want that instantly available whenever you're doing your work.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk more about the importance of keeping the history intact and keeping, looking after your notes and the history of instruments, stuff like that. But we're going to hold on that for a little bit. But you also are really famous for the Music City Bridge stuff. And I think it must have exploded since Tom started his YouTube channel, Tom Bukovac, right? Because at least in this part of the world, we didn't know much about Music City Bridge until that, sort of. So it must have exploded for you guys.
Well, Tom and Music City Bridge are kind of intimately related in many ways, because we work with these wonderful session guitar players who have real world examples of what they need. And Tom Bukovac is one of those customers. So he's been the source of many great ideas. And, he comes to us and says, I really need my Les Paul Jr. to be in tune. And that became the Stud Finder Bridge.
Yeah.
So he had a 56 Les Paul Jr., and he wants to play it in the studio. It's got this rip-roaring sound. He likes it in every other way except for you couldn't possibly get away with it in a studio because it just is not in tune.
And he's very picky with tunings as well. So
for sure. For sure he is. Yeah. And so we co-developed the Stud Finder Bridge with Bukovac to help solve his issues. All of our products and tools are to solve issues of people who are, working in the field every day.
Yeah, definitely.
But Bukovac has been so gracious to spread the word through his YouTube channel and through other places. And, in many parts, it's like we need the fire to solve his problems, and he's grateful for it, and we're grateful for him. It's a beautiful circular thing. But yeah, there's been a number of parts and innovations that have come out of Music City Bridge that we're proud have made an impact in some small way in the guitar world.
So you mentioned the wraparound, which is brilliant. I've used it on many of my wraparound guitars. But you also have, I think the latest one was for Gretsch guitars, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we've got a Spetskontrollbridge.
Yeah.
I've got one right here.
Oh, perfect.
So
great.
You're familiar with the side to side string placement of the original Spetskontrollbridge, which is super hip looking. And you know how cool Gretsch is. They just have an aesthetic that is undeniable.
Yeah.
There was just one thing that wasn't right about it, and that's that you couldn't get the intonation and the radius just right. And so we actually milled radius directly into the bridge, kept those great rolling knurled pieces, and then also put an intonation line mapped into it. So it's a subtle improvement of the space control, but for those who have that guitar, it's been a really special improvement for them.
Yeah, and for the listeners who doesn't watch the video, I recommend you to do that, because Josh just showed us the bridge, but it's like offset a little bit in the construction. It looks like the normal vintage one, which I think is a red thread through your inventions when it comes to Music City Bridge, that it's like not screaming in your face that this is something new. Yeah, it improves the tones, but also keeps the aesthetic as good as possible. Of course, I mean, the stud finder. If you look very close, you see it's kind of a little bit strange shape to compared to the original one, but
true.
But it still melts in, and it sounds amazing. That's the thing as well. And then also, I know the string 3 that you do as well with the for Telecasters. It's also such a smart. Can you tell us a little bit about that one? It's
so
simple but good,
It is simple but good. The 3-string tree started in the 1980s when Joe was making Telecasters and Stratocasters. So when you have a 6-in-a-line headstock, you need to add a little additional break angle behind the nut so you don't get vibrations in the nut slot. And And it also improves tension and tuning stability. It's such a simple thing. You just add a little bit of break angle over the nut, and it helps a lot. Now, early Fenders only had the string tree on the E and the B string, if you're tuning to standard tuning. And the challenge is that you still had the same break angle issue over the G. And you don't want to molest the guitar by drilling a second hole.
Exactly. That's the thing, right?
That's right. Exactly.
And I think I have one here. I can show it. Just a second.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's been a surprising success, that product, but it also just goes to show.
Have a little box here with spare parts.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I think it's in here. No. Fuck.
That's fine. You can, if you want to go to musiccitybridge.com,
exactly.
You'll see it right there.
It's a brilliant one.
Well, it comes in 5 different finishes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't actually need the extra break angle on the D. And so Fender would put those 2-string trees in, and it's actually not necessary. Of course, it depends on. I'm talking about for Fenders, because you might have a deeper set headstock and other things that do make it necessary. But for Fenders, it doesn't tend to be necessary. But yeah, I love those simple yet powerful innovations. And for $6 US, you can get in and make this modest but surprisingly powerful improvement to your guitar.
Yeah, definitely.
Without having to physically change anything.
Yeah, and you can also, you're very, generous or Glaser, I would say, the whole company, but with your invention as well, because you sell tools, tools that have taken years to develop, and you kind of share that, and you can buy these tools to check, the saddles, the height of the saddles, and other brilliant tools that you've developed throughout the years. I think that's great. It's very generous.
Well, we're a believer in the rising tides theory of life.
Yeah.
And freely sharing what you're thinking about and what you're working on encourages other people to do the same.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because we need more of those people in the world, definitely.
Well, let's not forget that the guitar business, the entirety of the guitar business, doesn't even cover one day of something like pharmaceutical or healthcare as far as the amount of money that it generates. We are a microscopic industry.
Yeah.
And if we pretend like we have to be precious and special about our little, these are just little things. I mean,
no, and I think that's the core essence of Joe as well. He's very generous with contacts and stuff like that. And the first time we met, he showed us your place. That's when we met as well. But also, I brought those pickup rings from my old Les Paul, and trying to get them verified. And he hooked me up with the Vintage Verify guys, which also is so. I'm so happy for their success now, because when I met them 2 years ago, I think was just in the beginning of them. But you work closer to the Vintage Verify guys, right?
Well, I'm really impressed by what the Vintage Verified team is doing. They're doing chemical analysis of finish and components, doing really wonderful archival and historical research to be able to compare guitars that have questionable or maybe not provenance and repair history and other things to verify whether or not they are all original. And one of the things that the guitar market suffers from is that the dealers are pricing guitars, and they're also telling you about the quality of the guitar and the originality of the guitar. And unfortunately, the incentives aren't aligned beautifully there. You do kind of want a third party to do the analysis of originality, a third party to do the pricing, and for the dealer to take that data together, like every other industry, by the way, every other industry, take that information and then make a decision about where they're going to price the guitar and how they're going to describe it.
Yeah.
Especially for high-end stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about big dollars now. So it's, and also a lot of these experts who have been experts, definitely. I mean, they've been experts based on the information that's out there and experiences and stuff like that. But technology is leaping forward, and you can do stuff now that they couldn't do when they were like the hottest experts on the market. That's just how it is.
No, I agree with you. I take a slightly different perspective, which is technology is actually filling a knowledge gap, because the experts and the people who we cherish in this world, I mean, these brilliant people who have dedicated their life to researching old Martins and Gibsons and Fenders and understanding what the signs of authenticity look like. There's not a obvious next generation.
No.
Because people don't focus like they used to focus. And so
no, exactly.
You're not going to get as many Walter That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
ChatGPT. Is this authentic? Yes or no? Yeah.
That's exactly right. So I see it more as a necessary augmentation to a reduced knowledge base, because many of the people that we cherish in this guitar space are in their 70s and 80s now.
Yeah.
And the knowledge handoff has been pretty good, but it hasn't been good enough. I mean, I'm grateful that you have a podcast where someone might be able to listen back in 50 years to various guests that you have and be able to learn something about what we were thinking about on these guitars.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge void and gap. And this is also why you have to be transparent about what you're working on and share the ideas that you have.
Absolutely. But
because if you don't share it, they die with you.
Exactly. But also meant with the expert that didn't have the knowledge at the time. So let's say that you bought a guitar 20 years ago and the vintage verified technique wasn't available at all. And if the paint job on that guitar, based on everything about who used to have it and you blacklight it and stuff like that, and it looks correct and everything, and then 20 years later now you send it to Vintage Verify and they say it's fake. That's kind of sad, of course, but I can't really blame that expert that did this check 20 years ago, because that person used what they had available at the time, if you know what I mean.
2 days ago, to that point, 2 days ago, there was a discovery that humans were able to harness fire as early as long ago as 400,000 years. All right, so there was some fossil evidence that humans were able to create fire 400,000 years ago. 3 days ago, we thought it was 50,000 years. Okay,
I know.
So this becomes one of those things where you can't. We build our understanding of the world on top of what we know at the time. And this also means, frankly, that we need to have a better relationship with guitars with a complicated history. Because if something plays well and it sounds good, yes, it might have a replaced nut. It might have new frets. Sure, maybe someone sprayed it with a rattle can at some point, but our relationship with those guitars doesn't have to go away. I think we're a little too obsessed with 100% mint, 100% original.
No, I agree with you. And I think, talking about electric guitars versus acoustic guitars, where you know that if you buy an old pre-war Martin, if it's not repaired, it's probably useless.
That's right.
Because it needs to be repaired. It's like an old amp. You need to replace, parts in the amp to get it working. But with electric guitars, it's different for some reason. I don't know why. And also, if you look in the car industry, when you are restoring a car, it actually increases value. If you restore an electric guitar, it decreases value. It's crazy.
Well, our relationship with these things needs to change, no question. It's funny. Yesterday at the shop, we were doing a neck set on $1.5 million Martin. Really expensive, really nice example. But guess what? We had to take the neck off. And the tragedy is that some people might poo-poo that, but what do you expect? It's a piece of wood. You don't think eventually it's going to have to be bent back into shape and to get playable again? This is all part of the process. So, you're really in tune with that.
Exactly. Yeah. But also I like what Joe keep repeating this sentence, and he said, we need to go from opinions to facts, and I think that's a good thing. But then also the thing you mentioned with the humans being able to do fire. I mean, I watch a lot of archaeology movies and TV shows and stuff like that. And some people don't want to change history either, because that flips the whole being, for us. So there's big brutal forces that holds us back from changing as well. And I see the same thing in the guitar industry as well. But
that's right.
Those people are getting older, and maybe they let go eventually. So we will see.
Well, that's an interesting point. You think about from the paleontologist perspective of, let's talk about feathered dinosaurs just for 20 seconds. In the 1870s, there was a discovery by British paleontologists that pretty clearly said that dinosaurs had feathers. Then the myth of the dinosaur being a giant reptile took over. And in the 1970s, a fossil was found with a feathered dinosaur, and the conversation came back. So you'll have these huge gaps where we know something, we forget something, and then we know it again. And I think we're getting to this place. I use that as a fill-in for the guitar market, where we are getting to this place in this new industry, by the way, because the oldest guitars that we really ever reasonably talk about, the stuff that we really collect, I mean, there's nothing really from the 19th century. It's 20th century stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just going through this first cycle of learning what our relationship with these instruments are. And right now it's going through a boom. I mean, the vintage guitar market is doing really well right now. But that'll be a moment, and hopefully people are thoughtful about the way that they sell these guitars, and they don't dump them on the market, and we can maintain a healthy market, and we can also bring new collectors in. But there's going to be these things where we think we know what's true and what we care about, and it all changes. Trends are fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good I want to talk a little bit more about Glaser and the record company and all that stuff, but I keep that for now because that's such a good bridge over to talk about Gearcheck.
Yeah.
Because Gearcheck is a product you have as well that kind of helps us to achieve what we were just talking about, keep track on the history of the guitars and repairs and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little bit background about the Gearcheck and why you built it?
Story is everything. And if you have a place to record that story and to record that history, you have a more valuable instrument and you have a more compelling offering to the world.
Yes.
And to yourself. The amount of great collectors that don't know what they own is absolutely astonishing. We work with these wonderful people who are obsessed with these guitars, and besides a conversation that they had at the point of sale, or brief descriptions of things that they get when people are walking through the house, like maybe you have a guitar guy come over to the place and they tell you something about it, this falls into the void of nothingness. And so you'll have a room of world-class, brilliant instruments and no story actually pinned down in history. No, rarely is there a spreadsheet that just even says what you paid for it, what work has been done, what just the basic information, what appraisals has happened. And we're trying to solve for that, because if you know the truth, you have a better market and you have a better experience with these guitars.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not about telling the truth or not, because people forget as well. I mean, I helped an older guy sold his 58 Les Paul recently, and he bought it in 1970 and he'd done nothing to it. And it was still a few parts were changed on it because he probably did it over time, but without knowing, and he forgot about it.
And that becomes the story, and that's okay too.
Exactly. And when it comes to an instrument like that, it's a lot of money if you change the pickup covers, for example, of an old Les Paul, to something newer. That's a big chunk of money that's need to be deducted from the price if you're selling it.
Well, that's right. And why do you buy, and I'll end this question to you, is when you buy a new guitar, let's just pivot quickly to new guitars. What drives you to buy that new guitar in part? What do you think?
I mean, I recently bought a new guitar, so I can tell you, because I bought the Joey Landreth Duesenberg guitar.
All right.
And I bought it because I love the sound of it, and it can do so many different sounds. I'm not very attracted to the aesthetic of it. I mean, it's growing on me. I mean, it's pink and goldish and stuff like that. And a lot of people that I show it to think it's a beautiful guitar, and it is. It plays really, really well, but it sounds amazing. So that's why I bought it, you know.
All right. I believe all of that, and I also believe that the Joey Landreth connection plays a role in this whole thing.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
And
so,
also I got introduced to it or tried it at Mannheim, where we had a wonderful time, and it's a memory itself, you know. And Joe was there, and we talked about the guitar, and he played it in the show later that evening, and he's amazing, of course. But to me, it also filled the room sound-wise that I didn't have.
Right. So that intersection between something that you feel like you needed for your artistry, the story, the experience, the emotions that came with it. We believe that guitar builders can do a more compelling job telling that story consistently.
Definitely.
And so imagine you buy that guitar, and this is where Gearcheck comes in. And anybody who's interested, it's mostly free for anybody to check out and explore. There are more premium plans if you need to record more data just to cover storage cost. But if you go to Gearcheck,
also, sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's very important to say it's not just for collectors. It's for any person who has a guitar, I would say. So don't get scared for not being a collector. You can add your $1,000 guitar. You can add your $200 guitar. Doesn't really matter, you know. And you can have a huge collection as well. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, and by the way, nobody really considers themselves a collector. You talk to people with 300 guitars, like, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm into guitars. Yeah. So collector is a tough word because there's only certain industries where people really call themselves collectors, and guitars, not really one of them. Some people do, but mostly not. But yeah, this kind of segues into this piece, which is you buy this Landreth guitar, and imagine at the time of purchase that you get this digital case swag, which is what I like to call it, but essentially it also could be called a guitar EPK.
Yeah.
Where you get behind the scenes access to the development of the guitar and the story of how it came to be, the design process. You get maybe a short documentary film and that really nice high resolution photos, the original spec sheet, the receipt, the various details. That becomes the founding document for this story because in 50 years, those documents are going to make that guitar significantly more valuable. So, you know, in the watch industry, people talk about box and papers.
Yes.
In the guitar industry, we talk about guitar and case. And papers have we've kind of lost our relationship with original papers. But that really is where Gearcheck can help fill the void to make a more complete picture of the instrument.
Yes.
And we believe that instruments in the future will be transacted with physical and digital paperwork that really tells a more robust story. And that could be photographs, videos, music, and other things that can be associated with the instrument. And it changes the guitar market. We've already seen it change the guitar market.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also a lot of manufacturers today, for example, are using Plek. So
that's right.
So if you buy a guitar and you love the setup on it, you should get the Plek data for it. So you can go to Glazers and say, you know, make my other guitar like this or whatever, you know, for example. I think that's good. But also I believe that some brands don't want to show the process either because then people don't want to pay that much money for it. But that's another story.
Well, that's on their storytelling abilities. With guitars becoming an asset class in themselves in certain ways, and vintage starts day one. So you know your guitar already has a form of collectability and value in it. The stories that we tell and the history that we record changes the value massively. And we see Gearcheck serving as. Do you guys have Carfax?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah.
So we kind of see it as the Carfax of guitars.
Exactly.
So what are the major milestones in this history? What is the regular maintenance? What's the big maintenance? And being transparent and honest about that stuff is going to be really important, especially as it intersects with things like Vintage Verified, where we're going to be able to prove that something is or is not original. If you go ahead and own the story and own the history, you're going to have a much cleaner and better transaction, and your relationship with your own instruments is going to be more robust.
Absolutely. And then also, and you talk about stories, everything, and this is just an example of it. Let's say that you have a guitar and you do a repair, and that repair it could affect the value of the guitar. But then also it depends who does the repair. If it's a story around, this, I mean, I sent my amp to Dumble and he fixed it. That adds value to the guitar. And if you can supply that and support that story with a receipt from Dumble, that means that repair is actually increase the value of the amplifier instead of decreasing it. So story is really important.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to go to a kind of a random subject because I think it'll be a launching pad for other things.
Yeah.
What do you think is the underappreciated future collectible? Is there a guitar out there from the 50s, 60s, or 70s that you think is going to be the next big winner in the vintage space? Like something that's going to go way up in value. Is there anything that you kind of suspect is undervalued today that will kind of go up in the future?
That's a tough one because I guess most of it already have, but I think, the Guild guitars, I think they're still undervalued. So I would say that for this example, the Guild guitars.
Great. I'm a believer that melody makers are really going to skyrocket.
They already have in this part of the world, at least. So you can't find them.
I'm proud. Yeah. I'm proud of the fact that 5 years ago, I was like, melody maker. That's the one. The melody maker is going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And I still believe there's a lot more runway there.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. I didn't realize you couldn't find one.
No, because people buy them and modify them because they are cheap. They put P90s in them and it's a good wood guitar. Just, you need to live with the ugly head stock, but then, plays really well.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Great. So the reason I bring this up is because there's a number of guitars that are gonna increase in value over time, and there's gonna be, and you can't predict this stuff, but one thing you can do is take steps to document what has happened up to this point. And the people who are early adopters of this technology are already finding the value. And so anybody who wants to get into the space and take their guitar research more seriously and to really just enjoy the joy of thinking more about what they own and what the background is, Gearcheck is a platform for recording these details. And if you like, just to land the plane here on the Gearcheck conversation, I'll share my screen real quick and just kind of give a quick snapshot. So I think that would
be really good. But then also I think, it's also adding your stuff into this. Let's say you're an old collector and you're getting older and you want to make sure that your lovely guitar doesn't end up on Craigslist for nothing, I think this is also a good thing to do, to add to everything and as you said, create assets for the next generation, or to leave behind so people know what it is, because some people have a lot of stuff that no one knows about, not even the wife or the kids, So sorry, let's go ahead.
No, you're so right.
Watching the Gearcheck.
Well, there's a legacy building side of this. Yes. The part that I'm getting to that I think some of us can relate to. There's a guy named Jamie Gale who runs the Boutique Guitar Showcase. And just in advance of our conversation, I grabbed a couple of screenshots off of their website and trying to paint a picture of what the future experience for a customer is. So let's say that you get this Bocce Leonardo. And as part of the purchase of the instrument, you are now pinned down as the first owner of this instrument. So you get the high resolution photographs that came with the sale. You get the basic information. And then here we've got spec sheet and the shareability details, how much you paid for it. And then your spec sheet is now pinned down in this really searchable and easy way. And then as things happen, you add the history and the documents. And all of this stuff is actually saved to a blockchain. So you have this even beyond Gearcheck. Gearcheck doesn't have to be the answer, but you have this permanent relationship between the physical and the digital world that can be tied together with, sometimes we use RFID tags, which we zip into the inside of the guitar that are permanently installed.
Yeah, it's like the size of a rice grain,
Yes.
And you put it in. Usually, you take away the strap knob and you drill a little hole and you put it in there so you can actually scan the guitar.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is just a quick snapshot into it. And another one, and I know this customer won't mind. We work a lot with Blackbird Studios, and right now they still have a lot of photos to bring up, but they've got 10,000 instruments and microphones. And for them, this sort of thing is really helpful as simply a system to know what they paid and what the history is and what the background is. So now they can instantly find what they need to find. And for example, with this Telefunken, this U47, outside of even just guitars, knowing the background history. So for this one, Underground Sound purchased it in the mid-90s. It was a very popular 47. Some of the customers were Josh Turner, Winona Judd, Alison Krauss, and Michael McDonald. All right. This right here, this history would be lost in a secondary sale. It would just be a expensive, great microphone, but nobody would know that this particular mic had Michael McDonald singing through it.
Creative
and
magic.
His nickname is Sweet.
Yeah.
So
no, but also if they lend it out to another studio, they can add notes about it here and keep track on it, which is wonderful.
That's exactly the idea. So it's a simple yet robust platform. It takes no more than 15 seconds to get your information in here, but the value is undefinable for the future.
But then also you get a QR code, so you can put in the case if you want to. You can scan it and stuff like that, and you can start small. You can add one picture and you can add a little information, and then the system helps you write a little bit as well, right? Because you can choose like Gibson Les Paul, R9, and then you get the information about that. And then also, I don't know if it's released yet, but you shouldn't talk about your next release maybe, but there will be some financial information as well, maybe, in the future.
That's right. Well, you know that dealers don't publish their final sales numbers. And one of the problems with that the housing market is made better because of transparency.
Oh, yes.
The car market is made better because of transparency. You have a pretty good idea of what these things tend to sell for. And in the guitar market, they're kind of pulled out of thin air every time a guitar is sold. And one of the ways to make a better guitar market is to provide more of a Kelley Blue Book. We're using another one of those car comparisons, but the Kelley Blue Book of guitars. So and there is the vintage guitar price guide, which is an extremely helpful tool, and we think has been good for the market. But there's a lot of things that aren't covered there. There's a lot of things that are, but it's not very accessible. So we're looking at ways to make recent transactions for guitars more obvious.
Yeah.
And to be able to really show people what the market is looking like. So that will be a paid subscription that dealers can use. And this is already used in most other industries. You talk about vintage watches. Or high-end Swiss watches. They already have a similar type system.
Yeah.
Most every mature industry does. The guitar industry has been slow to adopt because, frankly, there just hasn't been enough technological innovation and participation from technology players in the guitar market. So this is an opportunity now, especially as many of the older people who have a good idea of what these values are no longer with us. We need to have a very transparent, very obvious and clear way of pricing instruments.
Definitely. And I think Reverb are doing their best to show, but that's like a low and mid priced. The vintage guitars rarely are being purchased through Reverb, so they don't have the prices. And also going back a little bit to where you talk about the price, the people that are authenticate the guitar is also the one that puts the price on it and stuff like that. With that in mind, I would say the vintage price guide is also a little bit like that, because that 30 dealers, and their interests to keep the prices up as well. So it's very tough, to get the actual numbers. So
yeah, well, I don't think transparency necessarily drives prices down.
No. I agree with you, but I'm just going through the landscape how it looks right now, and I 10
You're
times,
right. You're
10,000
totally
times
right.
agree with you that transparency is the way to go. Definitely.
No, absolutely. And no, the whole point is that I make is actually, I think dealers in many ways think that secrecy is helping their business, but it's actually hurting their business.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there that just have no idea. Is this a good price? It might very well be a great price. It might be the right price. But to someone who's just getting into their first $7,000 melody maker, right? Let's say that's their first vintage piece.
Yeah.
They don't know if that's a great price or a terrible price. And it's really hard to get good data on that.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree with you.
We have a great
I think
opportunity.
we need something like that. But so I would say, I gonna put out a link to Gearcheck, and as you said, you can add pretty many guitars into it for free as well, and you can also add pedals and amps or whatever you want to add there. And I will put a link so you can check it out, definitely. And I think this should be the standard for all guitars, new to old to vintage, whatever. I think it's such an important thing, and it should be a standard coming from the factories, from all these makers from now on. But we're not there yet, but soon. But to talk about that, to help people add collections, because it can also be a barrier for some people to actually do the work.
That's right.
And to solve that, you also have what you call a white glove service, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there's a product, I call it a product, but really it's a relationship. It's a whole ecosystem called Gearcheck Reserve. And Gearcheck Reserve is a really special experience that you have. It's hands-on. My partners in this business are Joe Glaser and Dustin Miller. And we've also started to loop in some wonderful people, and anybody can participate. Anybody who's got knowledge about vintage guitars, who's got good photography skills, got good documentation skills, can join our team and become part of this process. But essentially what it is, for those who've got a collection that needs to be documented, they can ask us to come to do their collection. We'll take great photographs. We will interview the owner about their relationship with the guitar and the background with it, and record all of that and transcribe it. We will do a deep dive into the performance of the guitar on the market and what its general value is. And we'll also do a condition assessment for the guitars. And we can deploy a team. And if you have a collection of between, 25 and 200 guitars, that's the kind of thing that can be done in a couple of days and pin this stuff down in history. And it's been really transformative, especially for these big collections, so that people actually know what they own and know what the background is. And then we can work with you to create a strategy around these instruments, should you ever want to sell any of them, doing it in such a way that maximizes value and creates a wonderful experience for everyone involved. So yeah, that's Gearcheck Reserve. And one of our first customers was a really special thing, but this provides a helpful example. Jimmy Buffett is a wonderful singer-songwriter who had a bunch of guitars, but he sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And we were asked to come in and document his collection in its entirety. And this was really exciting because these guitars, he had such an eclectic taste in instruments. And if they were just sold as is, they would have very little value on the market. But if you can find photographs of them being played on stage, if you can tell a bigger and better story about the instruments, it really maximizes the value and creates just a stronger asset and a better customer experience.
Absolutely, and that's why this is important as well. And I said I'm going to help. I'm going to offer this service in Sweden. I think also. So if anyone needs help to add stuff in Gearcheck, let me know. I can help out, and I have other people that can help out as well. But also I think it's about documenting, not authentify it. I think there's a difference because the first step is to document it.
Totally. Yes,
so it's not about is this screw original 54 or not. It's like getting it all down there, and that's so someone else that is expert in those screws can authenticate it. But I think the main thing is to document the instrument and the story behind it. And then also the beautiful thing with this system is that if you buy a guitar from me, I just transfer all the data to you in the system. And with the blockchain technology, it becomes all yours and not mine anymore. I can't access it in any way when I transfer it to you, which is great.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think it's beautifully described. And for anybody who thinks this is intimidating or too big for their own guitars and for their own collection, I just recommend that you take 20 minutes out of your day and check out Gearcheck, look into it. And I think the value hits so many different factors.
Yes.
And so check it out. And I'm glad you brought it up. It's a fun project and it's been a delight to work on.
Oh, it's great. I really like it a lot because we need more of this. So as I said, I'm going to put up links and stuff like that. And if someone has questions about it, they can reach out to me as well, or to you guys directly if they want to. So to sum this up a little bit, the reason why we are talking about guitars and stuff like that is to make music, right? And you just released a new record.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I put out a record called I Fixed It All.
Yeah.
And under my last name, Rawlings. And so if you go to Apple Music, Spotify, and type in I Fixed It All, you can find this record. And I cashed in a lot of favors to make this record. And I'll tell you a quick story that really it was a life-changing experience for me. And as many of the people who are listening, are musicians, they know how difficult and heart-wrenching it is to actually put out your own record.
Yeah.
And to have support around it. It's a difficult experience. You're exposing your personality, your innermost thoughts, your style, and your artistry are all plain for anyone to see. And it's really it really takes a special group of people to make a record happen. And it's got to be the kind of people you have synergy and energy with.
Yeah.
And circling back to Tom Bukovac, at the beginning of 2025, I texted Tom and said, hey, it's my dream this year to put out a record. I've had these songs building up over the last couple of years. It's my dream to put out a record. He texted me back and he said, buddy, your dreams are going to come true. I'm on it. Don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
And so a couple of months later, I kind of forgot and I texted him a few more times, called him a few more times. Hey man, what are we doing? He's like, don't worry. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. And I learned the power of a producer during this year. And I never knew it. I always kind of thought I knew what a producer was, but really learned what the power of the producer is. Because when he said he was going to take care of it, he took care of it. He listened to the songs and the demos and the feelings that I was trying to achieve and talked to me about the sounds that we wanted. And then very affordably, by the way, you can make a record with world-class session players, world-class, best of the best session players for about $10,000.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
If
you're prepared.
If you're prepared. That's right.
Exactly.
But you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, they are one takes all, on that level, they know their stuff if you're prepared. So
that's right. Well, the economics of record making was really surprising to me through this.
Yeah.
And, but so essentially he assembles the band, he books the studio time and we collaborate on who we want, what that's going to look like. And then we get into the studio for a few days and generate, and then it turns out the dreams did come true because the record is something I'm really proud of. It's fun and funky and kind of fucked up in many ways. Like it's a wild record. So I'm glad to share it. And it's been a fun thing. So
yeah, I'll put up a link definitely. And you're a piano player, by heart, right? That's what you do.
Yeah,
that's your first instrument, or
actually no. My first instrument is bass guitar.
Okay,
I'm a bass player. When I was 6 years old, my dad, who's also a songwriter, looked at me. He's like, "If you want to make money, you got to play bass."
Yeah.
And even though that was a crude way to talk about it, I was like, all right, I'll play bass. And then I over time, I fell in love with it, played a lot of bass. And for the last 5 years, I've been playing piano and loving it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. But then also you and the guys at Glaser are running a record company as well that releases Guthrie Trap and Bukovac Records, right?
Yeah, well, most recently, Dan Huff.
You're right. Yeah, cool.
Man, shout out to Dan Huff.
Yeah. He's blooming right now, right? He's
that's
all over the place.
Yeah, I like to think that we played a small role in that experience because our whole mission, so the record company is called Baked Alaska Records.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, you can find it with Baked Alaska Records. We've put out 3 records so far, and we have a 4th one coming early 2026. The theory behind the record label is putting out music for session players and producers who have never put out their own records, their own personal records. And so Dan Huff, who is this legendary guitar player, legendary producer, has worked on so much stuff that we're all familiar with. And if you don't know his discography, just look up Dan Huff and you'll find a crazy history. But we, through a connection with Tom, got with Dan, and he needed an outlet for his record. And we're so proud to be able to collaborate with Dan Huff on that. And he's doing his release show next week. Sold out in a couple of days.
Cool.
And it's beautiful. And now he's got his YouTube channel and his Instagram presence, and he's sharing his knowledge. And that's what it's all about. Is these brilliant players who have been behind the scenes, putting them in the spotlight. And that's what Baked Alaska Records is. Yeah,
super cool. Good work. Looking forward to many more records with. There's so many good players in Nashville as well. So there's a lot of stories to tell, definitely.
That's right. That's right. And there just wasn't a proper outlet for a lot of this music for a long time. So we're glad to play our small part in putting out these records.
Yeah, and that's great. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up now for this session, and we have many opportunities to get back to you further on, talking about more things, but let's stop for now. There's so much to process for our listeners as well. So, but it's been great to have you on the show, and it's been great to get to know you as well. So, I really appreciate that.
I'm so impressed by your curiosity and excitement about the guitar market, and you're also a technologist, and the fact that you host this pod, I think, is really valuable for the guitar community. We did cover a lot. Did we talk about Gearcheck, Shopflow, Music City Bridge, Glaser Bender, Glaser Instruments, Baked Alaska Records, Dinosaurs?
Your record.
And my own record. We covered a lot of stuff and in 55 minutes. So
yeah, that's great.
For anybody who's curious going forward, if they want to learn more about what we're doing, there's websites for all these things. And come join our universe. It's open to all.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the time today, sir.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and looking forward to a great 2026.
Let's go.
It's going to be amazing. Take care, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, good.
Take care.
Cheers.